We're at Yuma Plantation, which is one of our youngest plantings of asparagus. The planting that you see here would be very similar to Southwest Plantation, Sunbelt Plantations number 1 and 2, and the intercrop portion that was previously planted with jojoba on Arizona, Cofa, and desert plantations. What you see here is roughly 6 months of growth, or about 12 inches of fern. As you can see, we've planted these into a furrow approximately 6 inches below the soil, the surface of the soil. And the idea there being is that we're trying to establish an asparagus crown at roughly 6 inches below the surface. Later on, we will come in and fill in the furrows that you see here, which will eliminate any competition from weeds. And as the asparagus fern continues to grow and develop, we will come in and mow off that fern, build up the soil. The new spears that are coming up will be the spears that we harvest. And as we go along in our videotape, we'll show you that natural progression from the smaller planting to a larger planting to harvesting and then on into our packing operations. This is Hillander Plantation. The planting here that you see behind me and around me is approximately 18 months. The one that we were just at, Yuma Plantation, was 6 months, where that is about 12 inches after about 6 months. You can see that we're into 3 and 4 foot fern at this point. There's a dramatic progression between the 6th month and the 18th month. And you'll notice the difference between the Yuma Plantation that we were at, where we had a linear sprinkler. You'll notice behind me the solid set sprinklers. The particular farms that have the solid set sprinklers would be Hillander Plantation, Somerton Plantation, Gadsden Plantation, and San Luis Plantation. This particular farm, Hillander Plantation, would be most similar in age and appearance to our Somerton Plantation.
Gracias. Y barrigón.
This is our San Luis Plantation. And from the last plantation that we were at, which was Hillander Plantation, this particular planting is about 30 months old. And you can see now whether we've come in and we've removed the fern, we've mowed it off, we've burned it down, and then we've come in and we've mounded up the soil. Unlike the first one where we saw where the asparagus was down in the furrow, now you'll see the asparagus up on the mound. We do that to give a good clean surface for the cutters to cut. Behind me in the background you'll see the harvest crew. Each one of these laborers has an asparagus knife, which essentially looks like a tire iron with a handle grip on it. What each one of them is doing is they're cutting each spear and given each day a length between 9 to 12 inches. Then as each one gets a handful, he delivers it to the fellow carrying the wheelbarrow with the boxes, which they call a burro driver. And as the burro driver gets to the end of each row, he will unload the boxes, and then those boxes in turn are loaded onto a truck and taken directly to the packing shed. Now, the thing to note in this particular field, and I should mention that this field compares in age most like Gadsden Plantation, you'll notice that the size of the spears, this is the first cutting, the size of the spears are relatively small. As far as asparagus sizes go, which you will see in the packing shed later, the sizes range from small, standard, large, extra large, and jumbo. Most of the sizes you see out here will be in the range of small to standard. And each one of the asparagus plants that had the leafy fern that we were looking at a minute ago will this season push up maybe 3 to 4 crowns or 3 to 4 spears in the standard to small size. As we go into the next season, they will push up 8 to 12 spears in the large to extra large size, and then when we reach maturity, we'll get 12 to 16 spears per an asparagus crown in the large to jumbo size. If you want to take a moment to watch them harvest each of the spears as they're coming along, you'll notice that they're cutting. As you can see, this is not exactly an easy job. The task is to find the spears that are approximately 9 to 12 inches in length, and then to cut those spears cleanly about 2 inches below the surface of the soil so as not to disturb the upcoming buds on the crown. And it requires some skill to do this. As you can see, each one of the cutters will get approximately a handful of spears, and then in turn those spears will be handled over to the burro driver, who is in essence collecting the spears for the entire crew. And again, there are tricks to the trade. You'll notice that all the spears are stacked in one direction and in line in order to get the most amount of asparagus into a given field box.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Okay. Equally as important as cutting at the proper length and homogeneous in size is stacking the asparagus spears into the box. What you will note in the asparagus boxes that they're stacking is that all the spears are stacked in the same direction so as to keep the sand out of the asparagus spears, and also to ease in the folding out of the asparagus onto the line into the packing shed. The boxes unload. How they're loaded facilitates the ease in which they're unloaded. And also equally important in terms of quality control is to keep the sand out of the tips, out of the spears. Zoom on it. As soon as each one of the crews get to the end of the row, the burro driver will drop off the field boxes, and in turn a field truck a flatbed truck will come and pick up each one of the boxes. You notice they're stacking them onto a pallet so that when they get into the packing shed, they can be unloaded with a forklift, weighed, hydro-cooled, and then begin to be processed. This is our Dos Rios plantation, one of our oldest plantings. It's about 42 months at this point, and we've now split the fields in half. Half of the field, which is behind me, is being harvested this fall. The other half is still in fern and will be harvested this spring. But the thing to note here, most importantly, is the size of the spears and the difference that you're seeing here from the San Luis plantation. Here you're seeing an extra large to a jumbo size consistently. You're also seeing more spears in a shorter amount of area. And the farms that would be most comparable to this right now would be our Arizona plantation, Copa plantation, and also the desert plantation where we originally planted the asparagus back in 1985. Fade on out. This is the other side of the Dos Rios plantation field that is being left in fern this fall and will be harvested next spring. And as you can see, the size of the fern, roughly, I'm 6 feet tall. The fern is at least 6 feet and more. The thing to note here, the size of the fern will greatly dictate the number of spears that are produced the following season. In California, 3 to 4 foot fern is considered outstanding. Here in Arizona, it's not uncommon to get 6, sometimes as high as 8 foot of fern. Also notice that from the San Luis plantation where we were at previously, which was the previous largest fern that we had seen, notice that the rows have closed and that there's virtually no access in and out of the field once the fern is mature.
Unloading area. This is where we bring it in from the truck over here, and each one of the colors, these field boxes, represents a various field or partnership that we have out there that we're harvesting right now. And then you'll notice on the various boxes different numbers. Those are our crew numbers. We pay a piece rate, so these numbers keep track of that piece rate and therefore keep track of the payment of various crews. After it's brought in here, they put it on the scale, they weigh it in, product's weighed in, checked in and given a number, a receiving number, and a lot number, and it's put over there by the hydro cooler where it's run through to take the pulp temperature down from the field. And we try to keep that water around 40 degrees. Sometimes the pulp temperature comes in around 90 degrees. So we put it through there, it lasts about a 10-minute run, takes the pulp temperature down to 40 degrees, and the plant immediately stops going. If you want to, we can go over there and look at the hydro cooler working. This is our primary hydro cooler. This is I'm taking some of these spears out to see what our ratio of high quality asparagus is today. We have a pretty cool day today. The Japanese like these kind of spears. They like a light color and a very, very tight head on the thing. We seem like we have a pretty good ratio for that today, so we'll be doing some export to Japan, and we of course get a higher price. But as I was discussing earlier, when we put these field boxes through, you see, pull that back, the water there going through there, goes down and takes all the heat from the field out of it. Sometimes, for instance, last week we had 104-degree weather, so you have to do this right away. Try and keep it so our boxes are never more than 2 hours old from the time they're cut to the time they're in the cooler. And that's where we're maintaining that pretty well. So never more than 2 hours. If you want to, we'll go on and go inside and take a look at how it's processed once it gets on the line. Once it's brought in from the hydro cooler and put in the cool room, we take it out of the cool room, we're ready to go ahead and process it. We bring it out here and we put it in a couple of these areas. You'll notice that one group of lines, or 2 lines, is doing the red boxes, which is one farm, and these 2 lines are doing the blue boxes, which is another farm.
Don?
Yeah.
Can I ask you to talk up a little bit?
Yeah, you bet. Hello. And so what we do is that way we can keep track and follow the lot numbers all the way through, and therefore keep the partnership separate as far as accounting and receivables and that kind of thing. So what we do is we come on down this way. The asparagus is taken out of the PO boxes here and put on the line, and largely in bulk. And then the ladies at the end, right here at the end of this group called the loaders, straighten it out and make sure the heads are in line. So when it goes through the saw, you get a nice clean cut for standing on in the box, and therefore you have no arrival problems. If you have a bad cut on the end, occasionally it will keep it up off the water pad, and so 4 or 5 days later when it gets to New York or Florida or wherever it's going, it has a chance to dry out. So it's very important that these people do their job, so later on you don't have problems. We'll walk around here. You'll see the asparagus going through the butt saw here. Again, as I pointed out, it's very important that it gets a nice, clean, smooth cut. It comes along here and drops down. The butts go into this little channel. We have a conveyor belt here that drops it off. It drops into this conveyor belt here where it's automatically taken out into a butt trailer that's hauled off in between shifts and on breaks. And so we have automatic removal. We designed it in the floor here for that purpose so you can have forklift traffic and everything else over it. We put this aircraft landing pad on it so we can see it and monitor it if there's any problems with the thing. So, comes along here, we go to our, really it's really a second label, although it's being marketed as a #1 asparagus called Southwest asparagus. And the ladies that way are pulling that off the line right away so nobody else has to mess with it. That's the most efficient way to do that, is to get that type of stuff off first. Then you come along here, we have our #1 and our primo label Crown Dynasty. That's the one that we ship to Japan and Europe and of course to all the gourmet places in the United States. These are part of what's going into the box of the Crown Dynasty label. As you can see, it's a very tight tip, very good color, no damage, excellent asparagus. The stuff that's going in the Southwest label is still a good, and it's sold as a #1 grade asparagus, but it's not quite as good, These ladies, come over this way for a second, Tom. Let me show you this. Maybe you come over here. You see the uniformity of size there? Those ladies do that all by hand. A lot of the universities have been trying to get lasers to do that kind of sorting, and they just can't get that kind of quality. But you can see those are all pretty consistently the same size. Same with this here. That's for hand sorting and a hand pack. These ladies are doing an excellent job. Then it goes on and travels down the line some more. These ladies are again putting some that the ladies with Crown Dynasty have let go by for Southwest. We also have a little example of some of our local artists here. The guys on the line like to clown around a little bit with their local artists. Go a little further down the line here. Goes to another saw where it's taken down another inch so we can market this as all green, because all green asparagus has a premium price. Then we move on down here where it goes to the last and final saw, and what that saw does, takes it down to a 6-inch cut. And if we come on down here, you'll see that these ladies are gathering that 6-inch cut for our tips. Now we have real good acceptance with a lot of the high dollar and better quality stores. They like to buy the tips because it's 1 pound of all green tips. Sell like hotcakes. We always have about 3 times the orders that we can fill, so the price is very good on the tip packs. I'll show you how they do that down here. lady right here does our bunching, and as you can see, she's done it for 2 years now, so she's done it enough that she can go ahead and just about pick up a pound in her hand without having to weigh, although we do weigh for legal purposes. What she does is she puts it in this hydraulic thing here. Puts it in this hydraulic machine that's foot operated here, and then she'll put on a rubber band, and as you can see, that rubber band has Campbell's spray. So you get a nice box a nice pound of asparagus. It's all tips. It's not any waste like you usually do if you go into the store to buy asparagus. So we always have a real high demand for these. We have 2 stores in California that just about, keep us in well over the amount of product we can supply as far as orders. Now let's go over to the closing tables. These guys, we'll get the runners over here. The guys that pick up this stuff after it's boxed, they'll bring a full box over here, set it down, and after they've weighed it to make sure the product's in there, then we'll bring it over. Bring it over to this contact point. Alright, here we go. Bring it over here. You can see it's like the staple it. Yeah, staple gun, I'll staple it. And then you go ahead and put pads on here. This is an absorbent pad. And put the water like this, and that keeps the spear moist and shipping. And then they'll go ahead and put a bottom on it. Yeah, we'll watch that. They put their initial, they size it, they put an initial on it, and they put it in a strapper like this. And sometimes the strapper's in. We'll watch that one. Alright, then see it over here. That's a pretty good looking box of asparagus. Now, what we do here, after it's packed and boxed and everything, we put it in the hydro cooler right away. For the same reason, it's been out on the line for maybe, 30 minutes or 45 minutes. You want to get it back in the cold, you can feel it's still fairly cool. You want to get it back into the cold water, back into the cool room, because that makes it fresher and much better arrival. Every time you bring it out and raise the temperature, it's not as good on your quality. That's one of the reasons we installed the second hydro cooler. We were running off one hydro cooler before, and two does a lot better job. And also, cooler. As you can see, it's taken out here and stacked on its pallets, various pallets according to size and according to grade. And then these pallets, when they're full, they're stacked and I'm getting in the way of the workers here. They're stacked and contained and palletized, and then we walk into here, which is the cool room. And come on in here. We try to keep this at 35 degrees, which is you know, kind of a change for the desert. And this is the stuff that we saw earlier going in the primary hydrocooler that comes into the field and then sits here and waits to be processed on the line. That way we again keep it cold right away and keep the quality the highest that we can get it. Once we process it by the same token, bring it in here, just wrap it up, palletize it, and put it in rows according to grade and according to size and type, and get it ready for shipping. You know, we put a lot number on it, get it ready for shipping, and then the marketing or shipping department tells us, and forklift drivers put it together and get it ready for shipment. Usually around 7 or 8, the trucks roll in every night and take that day's production. This is the Crown Dynasty. This is the good stuff right here. We have 3 pallets of that scheduled to go to Japan tomorrow, I think at about 7 o'clock or so. So, you know, the quality is such that the Japanese, we have more orders than we can fill. Fall, it's always that way, and that's why the price is good. Spring, you know, when everybody else is into production, the price is not quite as strong, but our quality makes it such that we can go ahead and usually get a premium price over generally the competition. So this is it. This shows you, you might want to come over here and take a look at these bunches. Here's the tip box, or bunch box we call it. You can see it from the top there. That's a pretty good looking box of grass right there. And that pretty well ends our $2 tour.